Welcome into another edition of the AHSAA podcast. I'm your host, Caleb Brooks, soon to be joined by Coach Daniel Ballard from the Lee Montgomery baseball team, who has won the area for the first time in 8 years and will be hosting Pelham this Friday at Patterson Field in Montgomery in the first round of the playoffs. Should be an incredible matchup. You'll hear us talk about it a little bit. Coach Ballard has been very open about talking about it. A couple of years ago, they lost 18 games. They were 10-run ruled in every single game that they played in. Last year, they took some big steps as a program, ended up qualifying for the playoffs. They went down to Faith Academy, who ended up winning the 6A state championship, and was able to get some experience, some playoff experience there. Now they use that experience to come back and win their area this year, and for the first time in 8 years, will host a playoff game and have their hands full with a really good Pelham baseball program. Is always going to be competitive, but should be a really, really fun matchup between those two programs, and it's going to be a huge thing for Lee. And I'm just really impressed with what Coach Daniel Ballard has done there at Lee High School in such a short amount of time since taking over. He's just been incredible, and it's been a lot of fun to watch that program get back to being competitive and being consistently in the playoffs now the last couple of years. And then I'll follow that up with Rush Hixon from Pike Liberal Arts School. You may hear that and go, aren't they an AHSAA? Not anymore. They just got accepted into the AHSAA last week. Their membership was approved, and so Pike Liberal Arts will be making the move into the AHSAA next year. Football-wise, they won't be eligible to compete for a state championship for 2 seasons, which is something that we talk about a lot on the interview and discuss on there. But it's going to be a great move, I think, for that school and for their athletics. And ultimately, I think it's something that they're going to be happy about and are excited about making that move. So should be a great podcast with those two guys. It's 2 great interviews, 2 guys I enjoy talking to a lot, and hope you enjoy it as well. And so we'll get you over to those interviews here on the AHSAA podcast. I want to welcome in my next guest here on the AHSAA podcast, Coach Daniel Ballard from Lee High School, Montgomery, the head baseball coach there at Lee High School, Montgomery, and area champs for the first time in 8 years there at Lee High School. Coach, first of all, congratulations to you guys on that. And, just a great accomplishment there. I've come and visited you guys, talked with you guys, and I've told a lot of people around the state when I talk about your program that what I'm seeing you build there is special. And, where you guys have come from with a couple of years ago, as you've noted, getting 10-run ruled, I think, in every game over 18 games to, now hosting a playoff game a couple of years later. I mean, it's got to be pretty crazy to sit back and think about it in that way.
Yeah, there's no question about it. I don't think it's really set in yet with us or the guys yet. Until Friday night, once we get to the Patterson Field and actually see hey guys, we did this. We're hosting a playoff game now, and it's a really big accomplishment. And I'm really proud of our guys because they did the body of work that they were supposed to do over the last couple of weeks, and they just really did their job, and they really bought in. And I'm just super proud of this team and the community, and a bunch of alumni have reached out now and was like, hey guys, that's really big for you. I'm so proud of y'all.
When you look at, this group, you had some good players that left off last year's team. And you even noted, you said, next year is kind of the year that I'm expecting us to be really good when this junior class of seniors, they got experience. Has it kind of surprised you a little bit with how well this junior class played and the way they kind of caught on really quick to the varsity level?
I think it's surprising, but also I think the schedule, just the tough competition last year. We played 32 games last year, and that was 32 games under their belt, and we're at close to 30 games now. So you're talking about almost 60 games under their belt, which is a lot of games for a high school program, but that's what you got to do to get better. And obviously that is paying off tremendously. The tough competition that we play, it prepares us for moments like we're going into Friday night.
Yeah, you guys have played a really tough schedule, and you did it by design. You wanted to see good competition, and when you look at the teams that you faced this year, who in your mind probably best represents what you're going to see Friday with Pelham High School?
I would have to say facing like the Prattville's and the Opelikas, that compares to Friday night. We played Thomasville in Alberta early on. So we've seen good competition throughout the whole year.
You talk about playing against Prattville. We've obviously seen what Prattville's done at the 7A level and playing with them the way that you guys did. I mean, you're right there 4 innings in the game, as you talked about, you're right there, and then something just kind of happens and things. But that has to give your guys a lot of confidence knowing what Prattville's done at the 7A level and knowing that you guys are right there and you're really one mistake away from being in a 7-inning ball game with them.
That's right. And the same way with Opelika. We actually went all 7 innings with Opelika. And, we didn't win the game, but at the end of the day, we went 7 innings with them. And we were like, if we wouldn't have made this error here or got this hit here, it would have been a lot closer and, put a lot more pressure on those guys.
When you took over this program, we talked about kind of turning this thing around from what it was a couple of years ago to where you guys are now. What was kind of the first thing that had to be done in order to get this to where you are right now?
I would have to say discipline. You got to be very disciplined to play this game and mentally focused, because this game, to be as good as you want to be, you got to mentally prepare yourself every day for a long season, long practice days. So it was the discipline and the getting better every day and not letting yesterday. Like if we had a bad day yesterday, it's okay. You get to get a chance to get better today.
One of the things that I've enjoyed in talking with some of your players is, and it's not a knock on the previous staff or anything, but they've just talked about how much more y'all practice and, how much you've put into this and the way that they've enjoyed that, like they wanted to be out there practicing. They wanted to have more practice time and to be out. And so, that to me just kind of shows that you had a group that cared about baseball. They just needed someone to show them that they cared about them, and you've done that. And to me, it just kind of it shows with what y'all been able to accomplish here now over the last couple of years.
That's right. And I think the biggest thing in the turnover is those guys were young and they just kind of gave up so early. But once I got there, I made them believe that they were good. And it was a mindset thing. It was really a mindset thing. It really was. And they started believing. And then middle of last year, they were like, it really set in that man, we can make the playoffs, and we did. And that's what me and one of my assistants were talking about last year is, going into the game against Faith Academy, I knew our chances were not very good, but I was just happy to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, you were telling me, I mean, y'all went and ate a big meal and it was a reward for your kids. And that's kind of what last year was. To me, being around you guys, this year has kind of felt more business-like of, like last year was, hey, let's get in the playoffs, let's qualify, let's just get this experience. This year it's, all right, we know we can make it now. Let's host it and let's go try to do something. And can you kind of can you see that with your team over practice the last couple of days and stuff? They kind of have that, hey, we've been here, we've done this before. Now let's go and let's win some games at this level.
Yeah, that's I think that's the biggest thing now is there's no pressure because pretty much every starter I have that's going to start Friday night, besides one of them, started in the playoff game last year. And being at home is more comfortable, and there's no pressure. They're relaxed and they're like, hey guys, everybody is 0-0 now. It's time to go win it.
Kids kind of talked about even their friends in school, their teachers and stuff. I mean, they're asking them, how's the season going? How are you playing? I saw where you did this the other day. And, the kids even said, that's something that wasn't happening here at this school about 3 years ago. And how much has that helped? The fact that other people have shown the kids that they care about them too, and that they, care about their success that they're having.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is the support. And that's one thing that obviously when you win, people's going to start recognizing you. And and the one thing we always say at Lee is family. And the family has really showed the support the last couple of years, and they're buying in now, and they're here to support these guys. And our administration, our athletic director, they do a really good job of making sure that these guys get recognition, because this was a really big accomplishment. This will be the first playoff game in Montgomery since 2014. And we're really excited to get to Friday night.
Well, you look at your staff that you have, you got two guys, one of them's thrown a perfect game this year, another one's thrown a no-hitter this year. And obviously this is going to be a little bit of a step up in competition from what they did that against this weekend. But that has to give you and to give this staff some confidence knowing what y'all have accomplished at times this year, and being able to have some really good success against some lineups. Yeah,
I agree. We have some really good arms that we're gonna throw this weekend, and we're gonna face some really good arms this weekend. I know Pelham is a well-coached team and a well-disciplined team, and but I got 100% confidence in my arms that we're ready to go.
What is going to be kind of the biggest thing that you feel like that this team can take away from the experience they gained last year, going to the eventual state champions, playing them, seeing what they had to offer? You had some early success in the first game down there. What can they take from that and carry over to this Pelham game?
I think the biggest thing they'll take from it is the nerves, because they won't be nervous this year. Last year they were nervous. But anytime you see 94 first pitch of the game, that'll definitely make you nervous. And but this year, I think the confidence and the nerves will not be. The nerves won't be there, and the confidence will be there. That hey, we belong here this year, and we're going to show the state that we are one of the best teams in the state.
Just kind of explain to me and to other people how big this would be for Lee High School to win a playoff baseball series for the first time in a long time and to find themselves in the second round.
Oh, yeah. It would be amazing. The last time Lee's been to the second round was 2005 when and then we would actually get to host in the second round. And that would be just unbelievable for this community, for the city of Montgomery, and for this program.
What are your keys going into this weekend? And what are you guys going to have to do well? What are you going to have to focus on the most? And what is probably going to be the thing that determines who wins the series between you two guys, in your opinion?
We just got to do what we've done for most of the year. And no matter what happens, we have to play well. And like I told our guys even last year, and I told our guys this year, when we had to we had our backs against the wall in the Carver series, hey guys, win the inning. We're playing inning by inning. So don't worry about the score. Don't worry about 7 innings. We're going to play 1 inning at a time, and we have to win that inning. And that's the biggest thing this weekend is we have to play, the first inning, the second inning. We have to play inning by inning. And at the end of 7 innings, if we've won most of the innings, we're going to win that game.
How special has this been for you from a personal standpoint? You went to Lee High School, you wore this uniform, you sat in that dugout with, as a player, and now you are a coach. How special has this been for you personally?
It's been pretty special. I actually didn't go to Lee, but I've been here so long. But I've been here for 8 years now on the staff.
I thought you told me that you did go to Lee, and so that's where I had a mix up there.
No, you're okay. You're okay. No, everything. But I've been here. I felt like I've gone to Lee. I promise.
Yeah.
Because I've been here so long, but it's just really been special. Because just being in the playoffs is a big accomplishment, of course. No matter how you got there, and the way we've done it, though, the way we could have easily padded the schedule and won 20, 25 games and, won the area. And then when you get in the record and you get in the playoffs, you're 25-2, and then you get smoked in the first round. Everybody's like, well, this team was what happened. but the way we've done it, playing the top competition we do, and then actually being able to host this year has really been a big accomplishment for me. But, I couldn't do it without my assistants, Eddie Banks, Tony Bonner, and Mason Miller. Those guys are really great. I mean, and I tell them every day, to be a great head coach, you got to have great assistants. And there's no doubt about it. I got the best assistants in the state. And I'm just ready. So excited for Friday night. I mean, I feel like I'm about to play Friday night.
It's a little bit different, but kind of compare a couple of years ago and, making it to the finals in Birmingham, winning it from a basketball standpoint and all that type of stuff. Compare it to this, hosting a playoff and doing something for the first time in a long time around Lee, and just kind of what the excitement level is around, and kind of, compare both of them for me.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that the other day. It was like, I remember I seen a clip on the memory popped up on Facebook or something about winning the state championship, and just that moment. And hosting a playoff game is really special for this city because, there's been a lot of guys around town, hey, coach, I seen y'all hosting Friday night, man. That's big. I'm going to definitely be there. He said, because y'all are a fun team to watch because your guys compete and they have fun. So I'm excited to see the crowd, and I'm excited for my guys to see the crowd because this will be one of the biggest crowds they've seen. And it's going to be like, oh, these are our people. Like, these are our people cheering this year.
It's going to be an awesome thing. Coach, really, really appreciate you taking the time to join me here on the AHSAA podcast. Always great chatting with you and talking with you, and wish you guys nothing but luck. I'm really, really excited to see how this series goes between you guys and Pelham this weekend.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And hopefully it comes out on the good end for us. But no matter what, at the end of the day, I'm so proud of these guys and what they've done in their body of work, and they've earned everything they've got. And I'm just so excited to get to Friday night. So, hey, if you're in the Montgomery area and you got nothing to do, come on out Friday night, 5 o'clock, first pitch.
First pitch, 5 o'clock, Patterson Field, and should be a great matchup there with Pelham and Lee. Good luck to you guys, Coach.
All right, thank you.
I want to welcome in my next guest here on the AHSAA podcast, current head football, baseball, and athletic director, head coach there at Pike Lib, who has now been officially entered in as a member of the AHSAA just last week. Rush Hixon. Rush, for you, it's been a wild ride. You got there, you were an assistant coach for baseball, assistant for football, and within 2 years, all of a sudden, you have the baseball coach leave, the football coach. You end up having to step in and take over, and now all of a sudden, you're the head guy at such a young age, and taking all this on, and then now entering into the AHSAA on top of all that. I mean, how has all this been for you?
No, when you put it in those terms, it is a lot. I don't think of it as, as being that much at the time, because, I always say I want to be in the place to make the biggest impact. And, to start out with, I was in an assistant role. And then I gradually moved into the head role for baseball, then for football as well. But the biggest thing, man, it has been a whirlwind of how things happen. If you sit back and you really look at where you started and where you're at now, it's kind of crazy to think about, but none of this would be possible without really good people around me. I may wear the titles and be sitting at the top, but man, without the people around me, the support staff, and then the athletes, it just wouldn't be possible. So really thankful for them, but extremely thankful to be in this position, and hopefully I can have a positive impact on a lot of kids and other people.
Kind of take me back to football season, just from a personal standpoint. Like, what was that like for you, where you're getting ready for a semifinal game, the next thing you know, like, you're the head coach, and then you're head coach in a state championship game, and you just have all this stuff going on?
Stressful. It was a stressful 48 hours whenever everything happened, and I got put in that spot. But the message to the kids was simple. It was about them. It wasn't about me. It wasn't about what was going on. I got put in that role at that time, and it wasn't some people congratulated me. I didn't want a congratulations. I wanted to sit back and do what was best for the kids. And then they had worked way too hard to let anything take away from them reaching their ultimate goal. So during that time, we sat back as a staff, and we were like, hey, we're going to keep the kids first. We're going to keep it as normal as possible. And we were able to do that. And, obviously it wasn't normal. It was different for them, for us. But we operated as normal as we possibly could. And I just, credit so much to the players for being able to understand and take in what was going on and to just keep the main thing. And then the staff for, doing what they do. Their role stayed the same on Friday and they did their jobs, and we were able to, win the semifinal and then go and win the state championship. But all the credit goes out to those people. Like I referred to earlier, it doesn't happen with one person. I'm a very team oriented person, and my team, took control and were able to lead us to the finish line. So very stressful time. But so much credit to those guys and those people that were able to stay together and reach that goal.
Tell me about this decision for you guys to now come into the AHSAA. How long has this been something that y'all have discussed there? And what ultimately led to y'all saying, all right, we know this is what we want to go after. Let's go put in for a membership. Let's go try to do this.
I think the actual school they've been talking about this for years, like 10 years, wanting to make the move over, that you sit on the outside and you see what's been going on. The HSA has done nothing but grow, done nothing but, promote themselves to be better and to be very appealing to the outside eye. So this has been something that's been wanting to be done for a while. Ultimately, what led it to happen and pushing it over the edge was basketball season. I'll just be honest, we were having cancellations day in and day out. Teams were canceling on us and they were blaming COVID, which, COVID's real, obviously, but they were playing the next day and, things of that nature. And we were missing 2 to 3 to 4 games a week getting canceled, and our kids weren't being able to compete. It was frustrating for them. It was frustrating for the coaching staff. And then we ultimately said, man, we got to step back and, this is a good time to see if we can make that move and be able to pick from a bigger pool of competition around us. So that's kind of what led to it. And then when you sit back and you start looking at the pros and cons, it was a no-brainer. We're excited about it. We're excited about the direction the AHSAA is going. And we look to be a successful member for many years to come.
Has y'all success? Did that affect any of it either? I mean, like looking at it and going, hey, we've gotten where we're pretty good in football now. We dominated baseball last year. And then, as you were saying, it was a really good basketball year too. Did that kind of go into, hey, maybe we need to take a step up and go see if we can go and compete with some of the public schools and some of the bigger schools in the state?
It definitely, you think about that part because at the end of the day, you want to be successful, obviously. That part was a small factor. But it wasn't the main one. We're not naive enough to think that we can go triple crown year in, year out. That's just, we had a special group of kids come through for that past year and then have done really well this year. But that's not, that doesn't happen much. So we know going over there is going to be a different challenge. We obviously want to compete for championships, no doubt about it. But the biggest play into it was the proximity to competition, more teams, more opportunities. The promotion of athletes that the AHSAA does, simply doing what we're doing right now. Y'all's ability to have these, afford these opportunities to kids, coaches, and whatnot is just something that, from the outside looking in, it's appealing and it's something you want to be a part of. So that was probably the main factor, the proximity, and then just the overall landscape of what the AHSAA has done to promote their own brand. And we want to be a part of it.
Kind of tell me what this process has been like, what are some of the things that y'all have had to do in order to get, a part of the AHSAA, become a member? And, what is this product like? Was it a stressful process? Was it something that you had to worry about? Or did y'all feel pretty good going in that, hey, we're probably going to get accepted and this is something that's about to happen?
We felt good about it. We did. The biggest challenge was, since we're going to be ineligible for the playoffs in football and not in a football region, we had to field 10 games. And they told us that was going to be a huge challenge. So the day we talked to them about that, this was back mid basketball season. So when we talked to them about that, we got off the phone and started calling schools right then. We were like, hey, we're trying to make this move. Is there an opportunity for competition next year or the next 2 years in football if we do? And thankfully, we were able to get enough teams to agree to play us for the next 2 years before we get our region in football. And that was by far the most stressful part about it. Because let's just be honest, if you don't have a football season, you don't have an athletic department, we couldn't have made the jump. So we had to find those games and going back to discrediting the staff. There were so many of our coaches that just sat down and we called it the war room in my office. We just called and called and called, and to the point of annoying to coaches and trying to get them to play. And we're thankful to be able to get that schedule filled. So once the schedule was filled, and we felt confident that we'd have a full football schedule. Then we went on to, there's certain boxes you got to check off. Certain things is like, a percentage of teachers accredited, and we had that already. An amount of boys and girls sports that you have to field, we had that covered. And then a couple more things that we'd already had covered on their checklist, which led us to the next date, which was a site visit when they come and visit your facilities. A really good process there. They were very, very helpful during that process of telling us any rules, any things that they thought maybe we needed to upgrade, or just complimenting our facilities. And then after that, we went to the meeting and presented to the AHSAA board. And then they called us that afternoon with an acceptance. So the process after the initial getting over the football hump was pretty easy. And I've told the AHSAA board members that the way they handled that whole deal with us was so appreciated, because they were answering our calls. They were giving us information. They were making sure that we knew what we were getting into. They made sure that any questions we had, that they answered. And it was very, very refreshing to have that. And it helped make the process a lot smoother. So ultimately, whenever we got that done, the football side of it, the rest of it went really smooth. So we were very happy about that as well.
Tuscaloosa Academy is making the move as well into the AHSAA. Did y'all have any discussions with them when they decided to do it on, how they went about it and what led to their decision and that type of stuff?
Yeah, we did. I talked to Coach Wright, the football coach, talked to the Coach Evans, the baseball coach. We actually talked to some people in the school about it as well. And their reasons were very similar to ours. I mean, I think, he wouldn't mind me saying this, but they were able to field a schedule within like 30 minutes of them, like every game, which is crazy. And something that them sitting on the west side of the state, they weren't able to do, being in the AHSAA. So they were able to do that. And, they were also helpful as far as, how they went about their presentation. They were able to share some information there and kind of give us a blueprint of what went down and a rundown of how the steps went. So they were very helpful in that process to do it.
What in your mind is going to be the biggest challenge of motivating your kids with them knowing that, that there's not the ability to play for a championship the next 2 years?
Yeah. I think that part, and then when I announced it to them, that was the what was going to happen, there were some faces that were like, man, that's not good. And on the outside looking in, it's not, but when you sit back and reflect on it, we played 11 games last year and won a state championship. So we're going to get to play 10 this year against different competition, some unique teams, some out-of-state teams, and then play 10, which is one less than we played last year. So when it comes down to it, only one team in each classification can win one. And, thinking that we'd go over there in year one, if we were eligible, and win one is a far thought anyway. So I think just them understanding that they're the first team in history to get to do this, and their schedule they're going to play is so unique and is going to get them in front of a lot of different eyes and afford them a lot of opportunities. I think them understanding that is extremely important. So far, we've had, good feedback. We had seniors actually make the comment that they would come back if they could to play this schedule. So there's a lot of excitement in it. It's new. It's a new deal. It's a challenging schedule. It's a unique schedule, and it's one that I think as an athlete and a competitor, you got to jump at the opportunity to play it. So I hope they all have that same mindset come fall.
When you look at the step up in competition, that type of stuff, do you think that this can help your kids from a recruitment standpoint too? With them, coaches are going to see that your kids are facing better competition and that, they're facing the AHSAA level guys. And can that help your guys maybe get more opportunities to go and play at the college level? Because maybe a coach is watching film on another team from somewhere else and they see one of your guys, or just however it could happen.
Yeah, I think 100%. Football specifically, because baseball, you have the summer circuit. You go play summer baseball, and you're in the same pool as all these other kids from other schools. But football, you do summer stuff, you do camps, but you don't necessarily play competition. So I think them being able to see, okay, well, we're playing this team that's got a 4-star DN. Well, how did my offensive tackle block that 4-star DN? Well, hey, if he blocked him well, there you go. Guys on the radar just like that. So I also think most of these schools we have scheduled have college level talent. So there's going to be coaches watching these kids play. Then it's going to be up to our guys to perform. And And if they perform against these teams, then hey, there you go. There's your opportunity to kind of get seen and get on the radar. But basketball, you have the summer circuit as well, which is a lot of AAU. So a lot of coaches are doing that. And then baseball, you have the major summer circuit as well. And we've had very, very good luck of getting our kids signed here in all sports, but specifically baseball and then football here recently. But I do 100% think that, getting these kids on this stage, playing against this level of competition is going to get them some more looks.
Is this explain what the summer was like for you guys when you were in AHSAA school? Like, were you able to go to any of the 7-on-7s that the AHSAA schools were at and play against them? Or is this going to even help you more to be able to go and be a part of those type of events and schedule, the full team thing that people do and all that type of stuff as well?
Yeah, from football, you could play public schools in 7-on-7 as long as you were all off their campus. Like if you were at a college campus, you were good to play whoever cross over and play. So that part necessarily you'll kind of be in the same deal with that. As far as the other sports, you have team camps and things of that nature. Well, team camps in basketball, you could do the same as long as you're on college campus. But now you can do it at your own gym. And then baseball, they actually have some team camp stuff, and they have a little different makeup of, you have a certain amount of weeks or a certain amount of days to where you can actually be with your team and play, which we didn't really do a whole lot the past few years in the AHSAA. So that model doesn't change a ton. There's a few more rules in place as to when you can do certain sports in the summer that we've got to get very familiar with. But as far as the competition, as long as we're on a college campus, we're able to cross over in the summer for the most part.
We've talked about your big three sports, football, basketball, baseball, but what about some of these other sports that you guys have there? And, the volleyballs, even girls basketball side, softball making this move. How did those teams feel about making this move? And was there any, the guys were for it, the girls weren't for it, the girls were for it? Was there any of that going on, or does everybody kind of seem to be behind this move?
I think, everybody, especially from a coach's standpoint, I talked to the coaches and which we talked a long time about the possibility, but almost every single coach was on board with making the move. And then when we met with the athletes and we told them we were going to try to make the move and ask if they had any questions. I did get some feedback from some girls, all positive. We weren't sure if volleyball was going to be able to compete for the first 2 years, but they are. So that was another question that was asked. So volleyball is able to compete for a championship. But every other, the thing they look at and these kids, they're very familiar with a lot of teams around here. They know what they have. They know they're the kids. They have friendships with some of these kids. So them seeing the chance to finally play these people and play these schools, they were excited about it. And then from a parent standpoint, most of them are looking at, okay, well, Tuesday night I can travel 20 minutes up the road instead of 2 hours up the road. Because we sit in a pretty hotbed of schools from 1 to 3A around us. And then a couple other bigger ones, but there's so much competition in proximity to where we sit that parents were on board, the students were on board, coaches were extremely on board. And it should make life a lot easier from a logistics standpoint. And that's kind of what we were after.
When this happened, was there any one school or program that you were excited, hey, now we can finally play them, we're going to finally get the, whether it's from baseball, football, any of it?
Yeah, there's a lot actually. I won't go into great detail about that, but I've got a list of teams I'm really excited to get a chance to compete against. And there's been things said over the years about our caliber of play, and now we get a chance to kind of put that head to head and see where we're at. So there is some schools I'm kind of a little more excited to play than others. But when it comes down to it, we're excited to get a chance to just play. It's all going to be new. So we're excited to get to play some new competition and then do it close to home.
I know from going to school down there and then being around some of you guys that went to Charles Henderson, went to Pike Lib, stuff like that, there's always been a rivalry and a fun sense of, you went to Pike, we went to Charles, and never got to play each other, all that type of stuff. What is this going to do for the community of Troy now that, there's going to be 2 AHSAA programs there and there probably is going to be a rivalry, a competition rivalry that now develops with your 2 schools?
Yeah, I think this happens in a lot of towns that have a private school and a public school that you kind of go back and forth about, well, we beat y'all beat us, whatever. That rivalry, I think I've had more people bring up Pike versus Charles Henderson baseball game than anything else about this move. There's a ton of people invested in that thought process. And, me and Chase played together. Me and Chase are friends. It's going to be a really cool opportunity next year when we get a chance to play each other. And I think there's so many people in our community and then outside of the community that'll have investments into that game and be there and kind of be interested to see what happens. So it's going to be awesome. I mean, it's a chance for our kids grow up playing against each other in the rec departments. They split schools, when they get older, a chance to kind of get them on the same field again and play. And, it's something that when it happens, it'll be history because it's going to be a really big deal. There's so many people and so many arguments that have been had over the years about Pike and Charles Henderson baseball. So it's going to get a chance to kind of, there'll be people from a decade ago, 2 decades ago, saying who's going to win, who's going to lose, things of that nature. It's just going to be a really cool opportunity for us to get on the same field and play. And the beauty of it is we get to do it within 2 miles of each other. So we're excited about that. And me and Chase have already been in conversation about, how to do that and how to go about it the right way and make sure it's done right and put on the right stage.
What is kind of your plan? With making this move, are you planning to still be the head football and baseball coach and athletic director and take all that on, or what's kind of your deal?
I'm a firm believer in being where my feet are, and right now my feet I'm 10 toes down into doing that, and I'm going to do all 3 for now, and I plan to continue to do that until we decide that we need to go another route for whatever reason that may be. But for right now, I am doing all 3, and I want to continue to do all 3 as long as they'll want me to do it, and as long as we see it's a sustainable model. When it comes down to it, I want what's best for the school and the kids. That's it. I don't have an agenda in mind. I simply focus on the kids and in the school. And if I feel like I can continue to help them grow and develop and we're doing the right things, then we're going to keep rocking just as we are.
What is the toughest part of doing all 3 of them?
I think it's, right now I'm all into baseball right now. We're about to make a playoff push coming up this next week and we start that. And then this morning I was on the phone talking football. So it's that part from a mindset, you have to draw that line and understand, hey, if I'm going to be on the football field, I've got to be on the football field. If I'm going to be on the baseball field, I've got to be on the baseball field. What I do in my office as far as getting prepared for the future of football, to say, I carve out some time to do that. But when I step on the baseball field, I've got to be all into my team and what's going on there. So that's the biggest challenge because it's easy. It's very easy to drift. I may talk to a coach in the morning about scheduling football, and then I'm on the baseball field that afternoon and he calls. Well, I usually don't answer it. I'm locked into baseball then. So that part's challenging, but goes back to, it's all about the people you have around you. If you've got good people around you, it helps. It takes a ton of the load off of myself. And I'm very fortunate to have a lot of people in place that have the same goals to simply make the process good for the kids. And as long as I have those people around me and they continue to do that and do their jobs in that way, it takes a lot off of my plate. So I think that's probably the biggest challenge, is kind of different understanding that, hey, I've got to be locked in to this right now, and then I can do this later. So I'm sure it'll get more challenging over the time, or maybe more easy. Let's hope for it to be more easy.
How many of your guys play multiple sports that are there?
Just about all of them. There's very few that just play one sport. And that's another challenge. And I think every small school fights that. So you're trying to do off-season football lifts. Well, baseball, half my team is on the baseball field. And we do lift in season with baseball, so they're still getting lifts. But you've got guys that you don't get to have a full team lift, which is fine. That's okay. We'll dial that up once summer comes. But as long as they're getting their lifts in, we're good. Same way with spring football. Our spring football model has never been a thing because we're making runs deep in the playoffs for baseball, and half our team is doing that. So you don't want to take away from baseball's run to focus on spring football. So that's a challenge, but that's a challenge I think all small schools deal with. And it's a challenge that's been going on for years and years and years. So once baseball ends, football picks right up and we hit the ground running until the end of the season.
And the good news is the HSA gives you now the opportunity that if you don't have spring, you get an extra week in the fall. And if y'all keep rolling like you are in baseball, you can just take advantage of that. And
that's right. And I'm excited about. I think we are going to take advantage of that extra week in the fall and not do spring is kind of the plan. Which to me, honestly, I know everybody's got a preference, but I think that model of doing more in the fall is better. Obviously, I'm new to this football gig, so I might have a different opinion in a few years, but I think that's a good model, and we another rule we're thankful that they have. You spoke on the sports side, different sports. That was something else that was very appealing to the AHSAA was the different sports they offer. We're hoping to pick up a few more sports that they offer. Just wrestling has been brought to my attention that some students want to do. We couldn't do that in the league we're in now. Now we have that a chance, and hopefully that attracts more kids and more students and families.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I just had James Latona and Corey Landon on the last podcast. They're two of the biggest wrestlers here in the state right now. And we were talking about how it's crazy that, I remember like when I met y'all at LBW and I talked about wrestling, like all of y'all from below Montgomery, you're like, what is, I don't even know. WWE, like,
That's right.
And it's crazy that like high school wrestling has really grown as much as it has over the last 10 years. And you see so many wrestling programs now below Montgomery and, around the Mobile area and even in the Dothan. I mean, there was no wrestling around the Dothan area. And now you're starting to see programs pop up, and that's a sport that's starting to grow. And, you talk about having other sports at the school. Can that help? Do y'all feel like, if we have these sports, that's going to help our school grow? That's going to make us grow. It's going to, and eventually we'll be up there in the 4A, 5A range where we kind of want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that, you offer more sports and you attract more people with different, thoughts. I know for a fact, our soccer program has been hit or miss the last few years. We want to grow that back up. And, I think I've had people call me and ask, hey, are you going to have this? And because we have kids in elementary school that are interested in this. So if we have that to offer, then, we would be a place that they may look to fall and send their kids. If you don't, then it kind of takes you out of that opportunity to pick up families. So I think the more sports you offer, the better. Also, the more you offer in different seasons. I mean, you have a football player that wants to pick up another sport. Well, if he doesn't play baseball in the spring or golf, then, hey, what's he going to do? Luckily, our track and field program has picked back up and we have that to offer. But I think the more sports you can offer, the more opportunities to get kids involved with not only just athletics, but team thoughts and structure, the better. And, that's something else that was a major point of emphasis when we wanted to make this move.
I think from a baseball standpoint, the move won't be as difficult just because like baseball, I mean, your guys are going and playing travel ball in the summer, you see that level of competition all the time. From football, do you guys are y'all going to change anything like offensively, defensively? Like is there stuff that, the way that y'all have ran stuff when you're playing AHSAA teams, you don't feel like it's going to work? Like, or are y'all just going to go in and say, hey, we're going to take what we've been doing, go see how it works, and then, make changes as the year goes on?
Well, I think, with this being my first true year at the helm of football, I think there will be some just changes simply because I'm new. I'm doing some changes of my philosophies and what I want to do. In saying that, we're not going to reinvent the wheel. Hey, football is football. There's obviously some schemes and some different things that can, give you an advantage or disadvantage. But the simple thing is to look at your team and look at the tools you have on your tool belt and, put them in the right positions to make plays. And in small schools, you might have to change offenses by the year or add some different things based on the teams you have. You can't sit there and try to throw it around the yard with a guy that can't throw very far and runs fast. You want to kind of build your offense around kind of running the ball and doing some different stuff. Same thing is we couldn't run a read option offense or a triple option offense with a quarterback that runs a 7 flat. So you're going to sit there and evaluate the talent you have and then kind of scheme around that. But the simple answer is no, we're not going to change anything major. I think it's going to be a challenge defensively to see what these schools run, because we've kind of gotten used to some of the offenses that these other schools run in the AHSAA. All these schools now we're not familiar with. So it will be difficult to sit back every Sunday or every Sunday and evaluate film and say, hey, this is a completely different offense and we got to sit there and scheme for that. So from that standpoint, defensively, I think it'll be a little harder. Offensively, like I said, we're going to sit there and put our best players in the right positions to get the ball as many times as they can in space and make plays. And however that happens, whether it be via tossing it around the yard or running it, that's to be determined. I can't give away too many secrets yet.
Is the depth of teams at the AHSAA, is that probably going to be the biggest in all sports?
100%, especially from football. When we get 2A, when we're playing that 2A schedule, we'll be similar in depth. I mean, we dressed 42 kids, I think, last year. So that's a good number for a 2A school. Now that won't be that high this year probably, but it'll be up and down. You just never know. But I do think you're going against a team that's in the 4A, 5A category. Our first 11 might stack up well with them. Well, then you get to the third and fourth quarter. Well, their fresh 11 are out there and you're sitting there with your same guys. The challenge with that is, get your guys in shape. So we're going to be in shape. We're going to be strong. We're going to be fit to kind of go as long as we got to go. So I do think that is the biggest challenge, is the depth, specifically in football, because the other sports, don't get me wrong, basketball is going to have teams with depth too, but I feel confident we go 9 to 10 deep, I feel like, in basketball. And then baseball, I'm very comfortable with where we're at from a sense of depth and guys in the right places. So the football side is no doubt that's an obvious challenge and probably the biggest one.
What are you the most excited about this move? Like when this move happened and everything, like what was the one thing that probably made you the most excited about all this?
The opportunity to play some of these local teams. I'll be honest. It's been talked about for years. A lot of things said that, you can say a lot of things, and if you don't have to play these teams, you can get away with saying it because there's no receipts kept on it. So now there's going to be a chance to kind of put it out there and, and play and stack up and kind of see where you stand. And I couldn't be more excited. We preach competition. We preach wanting to be on that stage. We preach pressure is a privilege. Like, our guys want to be in these positions. They want to play up. They want to play teams that are good. So I can't wait for that opportunity for them more than anything. And I think it's going to be really fun to kind of sit back and understand that this isn't a move for next year or 2 years. This was a move when you look 10 years down the road to grow our school. And I think some people that are very, people don't know what they don't know. So people that are out of the loop and not very educated in the conversations of this don't understand. Like, we're not making this move to go next year and just try to dominate everybody. This is a final move and a permanent move. And we want to look 10 years down the road and say, okay, we made that move and we've grown financially and we've grown our school, we've grown our staff, and we've grown our facilities. And if we can do that, the wins and losses will come. But ultimately, for the business side and the logistics side of the school, it made so much sense. So we're extremely excited about it.
Rush, really, really appreciate you taking the time to hop on and join me, man. I look forward to chatting with you a bunch now that you guys are here in the AHSAA, and wish you guys nothing but luck. Good luck, finishing out your last year of AISA baseball here, and hopefully you guys can go and win a state championship and wrap it up the right way. And then I look forward to seeing how you guys make the move and seeing how things go for you guys.
Awesome, Caleb. Well, I appreciate your time. Enjoyed it.
Awesome, man. Thanks. That's going to do it for us today here on the AHSAA podcast. I want to thank Daniel Ballard from Lee Montgomery for taking the time to come on this morning. I know they got a busy week getting prepared for a huge playoff matchup on Friday night. So appreciate him taking the time to come on and discuss their season, discuss their matchup, and what he's kind of been able to help build there at Lee with that baseball program. And then appreciate Rush Hixon coming on as well. Me and Rush played college baseball together at Lurleen B. Wallace Community College down in Andalusia for a year. Rush went on and played at CAC for a year after that in Alexander City, where I played my freshman year, and then ended up going and playing at Troy for 2 years, and part of a team that was able to do some special things there at Troy. And anytime that you can make it to the Division I level, it just kind of shows what kind of athlete you are. And Rush's a guy that he didn't come into college as a pitcher, but he ended up leaving college as one of the best pitchers. And now is taken over there at Pike Liberal Arts as the head baseball coach. He brought him a state championship last year. They're the favorites probably to win it again this year. And also was able to get him a football state championship this past fall. He had to step in, become the head coach during their right before their semifinal game due to some things that happened down there, and ended up taking over and leading them to a state championship in that. So the guy's just a winner, and it's going to be really fun to watch the Pike Lib athletics come over now into the AHSAA and see how they compete, because they have had a lot of success there at the AISA level. So appreciate those guys coming on. And always, enjoy doing this. It's a lot of fun to catch up with people that I haven't seen in a while, meet new people like I have through the first couple of episodes. And Each and every week, you can find new episodes Tuesday and Friday on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, other places that you can find podcasts. And, look, make sure to send this to other people that you think would want to, hear about the AHSAA, that enjoy talking and keeping up with high school sports. I'm trying to have as many people on that, people that listen to this want to hear. And so let me know about people that you would like to see on here as well. And, look forward to continuing to do this each and every Tuesday and Friday here on the AHSAA podcast.